Welcome to PNNKEXU, Po People's Revolutionary Radio on 96.1 FM on the dial in Oakland and streaming live online at www.poormagazine.org/radio. From the streets of the bus shelters, this is your co-host John Janasco in studio today with Po Poets and co-host poverty scholar Lamonte Ford. Today's show is a special roofless radio research broadcast from Wood Street Commons, a homeless, landless people's movement encampment in West Houston. Today, as we face the freezing rain while living outside, we face the threat of eviction from our home or neighborhoods, but outside of our encampments. The following are research stories created in Poor Magazine's street writing workshops.
This is PNN, not CNN, and we live and direct, broadcasting from this liberated small part of beautiful Mama Earth in deep West Uchin. That's Oakland. Yeah, this special live podcast from our badass poverty scholars here at Wood Street Commons.
Hey, I'm Jared. I'm a wanderer, a thinker, a feeler, a speaker, a writer, and a warrior for love. Our community flies in the face of established hierarchies, and they just don't want us around anymore. A dynamic, living community of regenerative integrity and care is what we have here, and our view of the future is to create a space where people can come and be safe, and to create a whole network where we can just share things and share ourselves and not have to be afraid of all the things that people are trying to force upon us, make us pay rent, make us buy all their crap, make us slaves to a system we don't even care about and doesn't care about us. We want something beautiful, we want something made by ourselves, and we want to love freely, easily, and without effort.
Hey, what's up? My name is Paco, also known as David. Well, what's going on here? I live here at Wood Street Commons. Basically, what's going on is a bunch of fraud, right? We're all victims of fraud. We're victims of fraud from these organizations that are supposedly giving us services that they don't provide, right? They get paid. They get paid by the federal government. They get subsidized contracts. They get housing contracts. They get all this stuff, and they deprive us of the housing that they're supposed to give us, that they get paid for. We're all paid for. Right? And they deprive us of what they're supposed to be servicing us for. And they call themselves nonprofit organizations. They're not profiting anyone. They're profiting their own pockets. That's the problem that's going on here.
Hi, my name is John. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm a Wood Street Commons comrade seeking radical change to the land and housing system. The Wood Street Commons and most poor people are struggling with the commodification and privatization of land through the capitalist system. The capitalist class sees the commons as a threat instead of a right that all people are born with. And what the Wood Street Commons is a cooperative community by design. And like the ultimate vision could be like cooperatively owned land taken off the speculative market, and to create a social housing model that permanently houses people and also creates access to cooperatively owned businesses for a sustainable design.
Hi, my name is Lamonte, and I'm an unhoused homeless advocate and one of the board members here at Wood Street Commons. What's going on here is a systematic issue. It's an action that was enacted to reverse the rise of the entrepreneur American black man. This area was saturated with drugs and liquor stores on every corner. And schools were practically defunded. So the youth had nothing to do, no vent. They had no way to vent themselves. They're out on the streets, and they took to crime. But this is a systematic issue. I want you guys to understand this is a systematic issue. That means that there was a system in place here with an intent, a negative intent. So what's going on is this is the outcome of that. You have people on the streets, they're poor, they're broke, they're living in tents, and what I see Wood Street being is an outlet, an awakening, a growing. we've created something organically where people can come on their own terms and find their own sobriety. They find it organically. A place where they can grow and obtain skills necessary to reinsert themselves back into normal society, if that's what they choose to do. If not, they will have the skills to reach out for the next person, teach that person. Coexistence means just that. Co, two, us, all, not just one group taking over the planet. This planet is not anyone's. It belongs to all of us. When you start taking and blocking and holding, you create problems, and that's what wars start from. So Wood Street Commons happens to be peace. That's what I see it being, an open environment where people can come to heal.
This is PNNKEXU. That's Poor People's Revolutionary Radio. PNN, not CNN, people, with a live broadcast from this small part of beautiful, liberated, unsold Mama Earth that our relatives call Wood Street Commons.
I'm Chaz, a resident of Wood Street Commons, volunteering mutual aid, sweeps defense at encampments across Oakland. And part of the problem at Wood Street is the city is destroying a thriving community resource for unhoused folks in West Oakland and beyond. Like, we have folks coming from even the city-run sites that are still trying to get their situation together because they don't have food there, they don't have electricity there, they don't have heat there, they don't have the things that we've been able to create here out of community care and support for ourselves in our space. So they come here for those services and they come here for that community. And you have the city, which is completely mismanaging its funds and monies, pooling all of it into like evictions and cops and none of it into the community itself and into all these third-party contractors and land that they're renting for cabins and RV lots that don't actually help and aren't any better than the encampments that we're living in the first place. In fact, they're actually worse off and like worse maintained than the places we've created and built for ourselves. And on Wood Street, we have a community kitchen. We have meals for folks, not only for ourselves, but for other folks in the vicinity or anyone passing through. And we tell folks at the sites near us that we're having some food, and if you want, come on down. And we have a donation station of clothes and medical supplies and just other odds and ends that people bring us that they think we might need. And we've created a relationship with the other encampments and also the outside house community to like really make this place a place that people can depend on and that people can find that community care and that sense of belonging regardless of their situation. And I feel like my ultimate vision for like being a part of this space is like seeing it remain self-governed and being able to exist as that community space that exists for everyone, that we're caring for each other and we're caring for the land that we're on because it's our home, because it is this space that has created this sense of family and belonging for us. And we didn't get any help with the city to do it. And we would only thrive more if the city would take the time to take the money out of the evictions and put it into what we're doing here. Meet people where they're at, put resources directly into the community for services that help people thrive in whatever that means to them, and not some program that's going to funnel them back into the system that failed them in the first place.
Hi, I'm John Janosko, a resident of the Wood Street Commons. One of the big problems that we have here at Wood Street right now is the scheduled evictions January 9th through the 20th. They plan to evict us and destroy our community and disperse us throughout West Oakland. Another problem we have is no garbage removal service. This is the reason why it's so trashy out here, why we have garbage at the corner. The city of Oakland has told us that, no, we can't provide you with receptacles to put our garbage in, but you can put your garbage on the street so everybody can see you and you can be humiliated because of this. That's a problem. No land ownership is another problem that we have here. They won't give us the land, so we have no ownership. So that means that we have limited access to a lot of things. Another problem is the city fucking with us instead of helping us. Wood Street Commons. What is Wood Street Commons to me? Wood Street is my home. It's a resource center for the unhoused residents of West Oakland and the Bay Area. Wood Street Commons is a safe place for our unhoused community. It is my life. It's my everything. It's my existence. The future for Wood Street. What I see for it, the land to become ours. And from there, the possibilities are endless. Our community is already thriving. So with some land ownership, we'd be able to thrive even more, help people more. community gardens, bigger clothing closets, bigger food distribution, create employment for our unhoused family, more events that could benefit the overall community, free housing for people, homeless helping homeless around the world. The possibilities are so endless.
Hey, tell us what's going on in Berkeley in terms of warming shelters, fam.
Warming shelters, we're trying to keep them open, but there's been a lot of confusion regarding their hours and the conditions that they're open. The other thing that I'm facing is that they are making sure that people are out by 6:30 in the morning, which under this sort of weather is not a great time. Last night was particularly tough. I've been up to the North Berkeley Senior Center, which is a warming center, a couple of times, and more than once there have been groups of people at the front end waiting to get in. So one thing that they could use would be better coordination in terms of the opening and closing of these, and definitely in times of emergency, which is what we're in terms of whether we're in an emergency situation, they need to have these open for appropriate amounts of time, not as a quick drop-in for a night stay. Hopefully today they'll be serving some food. Now consider the homeless also has been serving soup up at the warming centers, as well as in the street.
Okay, and then the other question I have, wait, hold on one sec. Sorry.
It's all right.
Yeah, hold on. So the other question I have really is that we know that a lot of the hours and the closing at certain times. I mean, I guess my question is, why would the city of Berkeley be closing warming shelters at all in these storms?
I'm in total agreement with that question, but the reality is that as an advocate, I don't know the answer to that. That is at the whim of the city and however they coordinate that. And over you will hear me declare that during these periods of crisis, and we are in the middle of a crisis right now. This is not normal weather. This is unusual. This is a crisis. It's an emergency. The city seems to be unable to coordinate emergency responses. And this isn't something that has been a surprise to the city or the residents. They've been forecasting these conditions for weeks now. So they had a lot of time to prepare for this. In addition to that, there's no coordinated distribution of resources within the city. They need to get some sort of coordination and communication that works, which they don't have or have not had up until maybe this morning. And the crisis, that's the nature of emergencies. They will pass. This is not a permanent thing. So you would think that a municipal government could respond in that fashion, but they don't.
And so, Paul, you being a warrior as well as humbly calling yourself an advocate, my other question is, if Paul was making the policy, the badass Paul Kealoha, what would it be? What would happen right now?
I would have the warming shelters as well as other shelters around town open on an as-needed basis. This idea of it having to be 50 degrees or 37 degrees, whatever degrees, or it has to be raining the proper amount of inches per hour is absurd. This is an emergency. We need to react as though it is a crisis and an emergency and provide those services. This is not something that's going to heavily impact a municipal budget. This isn't expected to last forever. It's expected to last for a couple of weeks. I don't understand it, quite frankly.
Thank you, Paul. We love you. Appreciate you. Okay.
Carry on.
All right.
We need not only spaces when it's winter, but spaces when it's summer. We need to make sure that people have the right to adequate security. And I think what we're seeing right now is a lot of groups are coming together and making their own sanctuary encampments and shelters themselves. But the people who have control over the money should be doing that. And they have the science and the staff and the tools to do it. So why is there only one shelter? And we need that answer today. Yeah. And we need more shelters tomorrow. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Want to add
Is anybody in the warming shelter right now? Or
Yeah, so it wouldn't be open right now. So the warming shelter,
because it's randomly closed.
exactly. It opens, I think, around 6:30, if not 8:30 at night, and then closes at 6:30 in the morning. And so, yeah, so
Like Carl just told us, they kick people out. Yeah.
and they have like a temperature requirement of 45 degrees. So even if it's 55 degrees out and it's really windy, they won't let you in.
So nuts.
Yeah, and you know, it's not the workers' fault. They have low staff. They're trying the best that they can. But in times of emergency, we should have a budget for the city to provide more workers, to provide more spaces. And you know, just the lack of planning is really distressful because it's really hard. You know, I see my friends out in the street and I see their tents flooded. And I see people who I see all the time and, you know, they're shivering in the cold. They might not even have a blanket. And so a lot of us are trying to come together. Consider the Homeless has been doing a really good job making sure that people do get tents, blankets, warming shelters, and we're starting our own plans. We're making sure we buy Mylar blankets, so at the very least they can have their body heat, and cardboard, and going up and down the streets. And you know, it's really hard to do it as a small group of people, but I think what we have is a small group of committed people who are experiencing these dangers, who have friends, who are suffering right now. And so we're looking forward to making sure we put public pressure not only on the city but each other, because if we don't come together in our own communities and neighborhoods in times of climate crisis, how are we ever going to come in times of further gentrification and further displacement, which is inevitable in this city with rising cost of living?
Colonizing or lying? I mean, how can we talk about just transfers and still be owning her while she be desecrated and crying? Mama Earth is who I speak of. Our great mama, who like our mamas, we only have one of. Her purchase, your profit, leads to all these violent evictions and sweeps that got us poor people dying. From Winnemucca to Wood Street. From First Nations elders to grandmamas like Iris Canada and Elern Turner. Buying, selling, renting, and dwelling. If you po, you lucky if you win the real estate monopoly, end up housed instead of at the mercy of scam lords, police, and jailing. If you worked all your life to own your spot, I ain't mad at you. It's all we've been taught. Sold and told it's what we should attain just to be safe in a capitalist pyramid game that keeps poor people in chains, breaking poor people's backs, grown on poor people's labor, and intentional poverty by the ongoing lie of private property. Would you sell your own mama? Would you put her in the auction block? Would you evict and sweep so you never have to see how much she got robbed, thawed, and bought? So what's the answer? Clarifying the problem. It's a complete stop to same old process. Wealth hoarders don't steal and profit, and philanthropists don't dole out their dollars because they stop exchanging Mama Earth on the stock market. Begin by questioning all you have been taught, all you have been bought. you have been sold and all you have been taught. Fight for First Nations and Black land back. Fight for no more hygienic metaphors about us poor people's bodies, which are under attack. Question the multiple lies of rent, the scam lord and the poverty pimps, the ones you pay to keep a roof, the one who gets paid to help you while seeing you struggle in a trap. Fight for her, your mama, our mama Earth. Call the mayor's office, the beautiful new liberator, the powerful warrior, the indigenous sister, Sheng Tao, because we know that she will not let us poor people continue to be swept, but rather agrees that we all need to be housed. 510-238-3141. 510-238-3141. Wood Street Commons, homefulness. They're poor people-led solutions to homelessness.
And so that's all for this broadcast of Poor People's Revolutionary Radio. To get any of the segments you have heard tonight, or any of our powerful Poor People's Radio broadcasts from all of our revolutionary programs, subscribe to Poor Magazine channel / on SoundCloud or Poor News. That's Poor NEWS Network on YouTube. All power to the people, and see you on the streets.